The court has mandated that she remain within a 50-mile radius until the custody arrangement is officially concluded. After the hearing, Marcus ceased all communication with her. She is employed at a boutique in the downtown area. I encountered her once at the grocery store. The experience of spending 7 minutes in the cereal aisle engaging in uncomfortable small talk while being observed by others was quite challenging. 6 months have passed now. The divorce was finalized last week, occurring much more swiftly than I had anticipated. The judge's final ruling granted me primary custody, while Mira will have visitation every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. She retained her vehicle, apparel, and personal belongings, whereas I retained the residence, inheritance, and our shared savings. What remained of it? She is obligated to pay child support, which seems unusual, given that she has always managed our family budget. The house continues to feel more vacant in her absence, even with the presence of 2 teenagers. There are mornings when I awaken and momentarily lose recollection of past events. Then reality sets in, and I must begin another day focused on reconstructing what remains. Last night, Serenity discovered an old anniversary card from Mira while searching for school supplies in my desk. It encompassed commitments of lasting partnership and the journey of aging side by side. She inquired whether I felt disheartened about the loss of that future. A highly intelligent child posed a challenging question. I conveyed to her that I did not feel sorrow over the loss of a future that was never tangible in the first place. The Mira I believed I was familiar with, the one who composed that card, was not a true representation. I feel a sense of disappointment regarding the situation, yet I find solace in not having to engage with someone who could feign affection during our anniversary dinner while secretly plotting my downfall. Continuing to navigate this new routine gradually, I have encountered a recurring issue with the bathroom sink leaking once more. Eric requires new soccer cleats, and Serenity is experiencing interpersonal conflicts among her friends that I find difficult to comprehend. Life continues, characterized by its complexities and imperfections, yet it is now marked by authenticity. Regarding the TikTok account that Mira managed, currently engaged. Her most recent video series focuses on recovery from narcissistic abuse and the journey of self-discovery following divorce. The comment section is populated with well-meaning individuals who are unaware of the complete narrative. While I have the ability to rectify the record, I question the value of doing so. Certain individuals continuously alter the narrative of the past. Am I the one in question? I am focused on creating a more promising future for the 3 of us who are still here, demonstrating that this situation was not related to her being neglected during her illness. The sight of a family court judge viewing TikTok videos on the court computer while Mira appeared uncomfortable could have been amusing, had it not been so disheartening. When Mira finally addressed the situation, she attempted to portray herself as the emotional victim once more, asserting that I had been emotionally distant for years. Subject to discussion, yet who isn't at times? She expressed a sense of entrapment. The funds represented her attempt to secure her position, as she was hesitant to address me directly. She even attempted to imply that Marcus was being dishonest as a means of retaliation for the conclusion of their short-lived affair. The judge was not convinced, interrupted her in the midst of her emotional expression, and inquired about the house listing. Mira stated that she was merely exploring possibilities and had no intention of proceeding with a sale. The judge presented the signed contract with a real estate agent that authorized the sale and inquired whether that was her signature. It was indeed. Upon conclusion of the proceedings, the judge approved my emergency petition to freeze all assets while awaiting the full divorce process and awarded me temporary full custody of the children. Mira has been granted supervised visitation until a formal custody hearing takes place. Additionally, it has been determined that my inheritance is classified as separate property, which Mira does not have the authority to transfer. She also indicated the possibility of criminal charges related to the financial fraud, although the decision to pursue such charges would rest with the district attorney. Observing the meticulous plan devised by Mira unravel in real time elicited a complex mix of satisfaction and sorrow. After 2 decades of partnership, the conclusion unfolded in a neutral courtroom, where she expressed her emotions while a disinterested stenographer documented the proceedings. The consequences were complicated, as reality often is. Cannon engaged Mira in the courthouse hallway. It appears that Big Brother was not fully aware of the comprehensive nature of her strategies. He had been assisting her due to her persuasion that I was financially abusive. Upon discovering that she had also been dishonest with him, he became extremely agitated. She was labeled a disgrace to the family and he exited the situation. I have not seen him since that time. Informing the children was a challenging task. We gathered at our kitchen table, which has a wobbly leg that I have intended to repair for several months, opting for takeout pizza due to the challenges of preparing a meal. I adhered to the facts without casting their mother in a negative light. They would come to understand their own feelings regarding her actions. Eric inquired about the logistics of living arrangements at the school. Serenity sought to understand whether their mother still held affection for them. It deeply affected me. The upcoming weeks were characterized by a series of meetings with Joan, additional court appearances, and efforts to uphold a sense of normalcy for the children. Mira has taken up residence with Lauren, who seems to have prioritized friendship over her commitment to me. Following her previous apology messages, she commenced her supervised visits with the children at my sister's residence. Anna graciously provided her residence as a neutral venue. The initial visits were quite uncomfortable. Mira would present intricate gifts, evidently attempting to regain their favor. Eric returned the majority of them. Serenity maintained them, yet appeared uncertain about her emotions. The court-appointed supervisor, an elderly woman who engaged in knitting during the visits, meticulously documented every detail. The financial matters required additional time to resolve. A court order ultimately resulted in the return of $320,000 from my inheritance. The property has remained under my ownership since it was inherited. I was unable to locate my mother's jewelry or my father's watches. Mira asserted that she had sold them several months prior. The emotional impact was greater than the financial loss. The social repercussions were also unusual. A few acquaintances distanced themselves from us, choosing not to take a stance. Some individuals decisively aligned themselves with Team Mira or Team Russell. My friend Stephen and his wife graciously included us in their family dinners during a time when I was unable to prepare meals myself. Parents of Eric's friends began to incorporate Serenity into their daughters' outings to the mall. Individuals may support you in surprising manners. The work environment presented challenges due to numerous court dates and emotional complexities. My supervisor demonstrated a commendable level of understanding. It appears that his first wife engaged in a comparable situation, albeit involving a significantly lesser amount of money. He allowed me to modify my hours on a temporary basis, which significantly aided me in managing my new responsibilities as a single father. Online dating profiles began appearing as suggested connections on Facebook approximately 2 months following the events that transpired. The algorithm seems to have detected my recent change in relationship status. Are you prepared for that situation yet? It may not be for an extended period. The children are adapting. Eric's grades experienced an initial decline. However, they improved once we established a consistent routine. He began dedicating more time in the garage with my father's old tools, crafting intricate wooden boxes, perhaps processing his emotions through the medium of sawdust. Serenity experienced a period during which she would call Mira nightly in distress, followed by extended periods of silence lasting weeks. They are currently establishing a new standard. Regarding Mira, as of the latest update, aspirations related to California are currently paused. My mother's final days and her grievances about having to feign concern for his ailing mother. As dinner time approached, the tide began to shift. Lauren, who has always been a steadfast supporter of Mira, reached out to me privately to express her apologies and mentioned that she was unaware of the complete situation. Insufficient action has been taken, Lauren. Amidst the ongoing turmoil, I consistently monitored the well-being of the children. Eric was displeased yet maintaining composure. Serenity exhibited an unprecedented level of quietude. Both individuals had been communicating with their mother, and I explicitly stated that I would not prevent them from visiting her if they wished to do so. To my surprise, neither of them accepted the offer. Eric expressed something that evoked both a sense of heartbreak and pride within me. Dad, I have deep affection for Mom, but I find it challenging to accept her current behavior. As the situation appeared to be settling, I received a text from an unfamiliar number. This is Marcus. It is important that we discuss Mira. The expression on Mira's face when I entered the courtroom tomorrow morning with 3 folders of evidence will be a testament to the significance of our 20-year marriage. What transpired subsequently? That was the moment when the situation became particularly engaging. Final update. I appreciate your patience, Reddit community. The past few weeks have been quite demanding. I finally have a moment to provide an update while the children are at my sister's residence for the weekend. Enjoying a cup of coffee from a mug. Serenity created a statement that conveys, "Dad, at least you're not Mom." Children possess a surprisingly sharp sense of humor that I was previously unaware of. Could you please remind me of our last point of discussion? Indeed. Marcus sent me a message. It is likely that the unexpected plot twist caught you off guard. I did not either. I contemplated that message for approximately 20 minutes before providing a response. A portion of me felt inclined to dismiss this home record entirely. However, my curiosity prevailed. We arranged to meet at the Denny's located off the highway. A neutral location where we would remain unseen by acquaintances. There is a distinct atmosphere of secrecy and intrigue. Marcus did not align with my expectations. Considering Mira's preferences, I anticipated a suave and charming individual. Instead, he appeared to be an average individual with a receding hairline and a physique that could be described as less than ideal. He appeared quite anxious, handling his coffee cup with an unusual intensity, as if it were about to detonate. The initial remarks he made took me by surprise. He extended his apologies. He mentioned that he was unaware Mira was still associated with me. She stated that we had been separated for more than a year. We are currently cohabitating for the benefit of our children while we complete the divorce process. She informed him that I had exhibited emotionally abusive behavior and had squandered our savings through gambling. That was the reason she needed to safeguard her remaining funds. I almost overturned the table. I presented him with photographs from our vow renewal ceremony that took place 3 days prior. The color quickly left his face, reminiscent of the way our toilet empties due to that ongoing issue I have yet to address. It appears that Marcus was not merely an incidental acquaintance. He was her former high school boyfriend prior to our relationship. They re-established contact on Facebook 18 months prior when he made a comment on a nostalgic photo she shared. Timeless. His subsequent statement altered the entire situation. Mira persuaded him to transfer $50,000 of his own funds to assist with her escape plan, presenting fabricated bank statements that implied I was concealing assets. He had been accumulating those funds for his children's higher education expenses. Please take a moment to reflect on that. She was not merely taking from me. She was deceiving this unfortunate individual as well. I had a twinge of sympathy for the individual. Nearly. He retrieved his phone and presented all the information to me. Her emotional narratives, the forged documents, the apartment in San Diego they were allegedly planning to share. He recorded their final phone conversation after observing my message to her regarding the financial fraud. In the recording, she inadvertently disclosed that she had been strategizing this for more than 2 years, prior to my father's passing. 24 months. At the conclusion of our breakfast meeting, which had its share of discomfort, Marcus consented to provide testimony if required. While we may not have been close, we had both fallen victim to a skilled manipulator, embodying the concept of the enemy of my enemy. I experienced significant difficulty sleeping that night. The emergency hearing has been scheduled for 9 a.m. Joan expressed a desire to meet in advance to discuss our strategy. The children maintained a subdued atmosphere during breakfast, with Serenity methodically pushing her Cheerios around the bowl, while Eric, wearing headphones, scrolled through TikTok, displaying a detached teenage demeanor. The morning proceeded as usual, aside from the significant issue regarding my mother attempting to misappropriate our life savings. I dropped the children off at school, exchanging somewhat uncomfortable hugs and assuring them that I would provide updates via text. The hallway emitted a distinct aroma reminiscent of floor cleaner mingled with youthful apprehension, evoking memories of my own high school experience each time I passed through. Certain elements remain constant, even amidst widespread disruption. The courtroom experience differed significantly from the portrayals seen in dramatic television series. The family court was a stark beige room with uninviting chairs and harsh fluorescent lighting that cast an unflattering glow on everyone present. I quickly noticed Mira and Cannon. She was wearing a conservative navy dress that I hadn't seen previously, clearly chosen to convey a responsible maternal image, while he sported a tie that likely exceeded the cost of my car payment. The expressions on their faces when Marcus entered and took a seat beside me were truly remarkable. Mira's eyes widened significantly, leading me to believe her contacts might dislodge. Cannon began to whisper urgently to her while their attorney, a sharply dressed individual with cufflinks that suggested a high hourly rate, appeared increasingly perplexed. The judge was an experienced older woman who appeared to have encountered every unethical divorce tactic imaginable. Upon Joan's presentation of the financial evidence, including the bank transfers, the undisclosed home listing, and Marcus's testimony regarding the fabricated separation narrative and further fraudulent activities, the judge's demeanor shifted from neutral to distinctly frigid. However, the significant revelation was that Anna had discovered Mira's hidden TikTok account. It is surprising to discover that individuals aged 41 are engaging with TikTok. She had been outlining her escape strategy in ambiguous terms for several months. While there is nothing overtly incriminating, there are numerous videos featuring captions such as, "Setting yourself free after 20 years," and, "When he thinks you're planning an anniversary, but you're planning a new life." All timestamps precede my mother's passing. As she hurriedly packed clothes into a suitcase, I glanced at my phone and noticed 10 missed calls from Cannon. The timing is noteworthy. It seems that Big Bro was attentive to his sister's mental well-being and sought to gain insight into her situation. Certainly. I did not return his call. I contacted Eric to arrange a meeting at the Starbucks located near his school following the conclusion of his last class. I have forwarded the same information to Serenity. Mira observed me texting and inquired whether I was reaching out to the children. I informed her that I would not allow her to mislead them about me before they had the opportunity to hear the truth. This prompted yet another series of emotional outbursts and allegations. Upon the conclusion of her 30 minutes, she declined to exit. Initiated a discussion regarding her legal entitlements to the property. I played my first call at that time. Presented the documents that Joan had meticulously prepared, outlining the financial fraud and the unauthorized transfer of inherited assets, which are not classified as marital property under our state law. It was noted that there is a potential for criminal charges. She has departed. Not in a subdued manner. However, she departed. Interacting with the children presented some challenges. I must be honest. I nearly faltered upon observing their perplexed expressions. Eric displayed a reserved demeanor typical of adolescence, while Serenity appeared to be on the brink of tears even before I spoke. I did not overwhelm them with all the information at once. This would have clarified that my mother and I were experiencing significant issues. There have been some financial matters that have arisen, and they will be residing with me at the house temporarily while we address these issues. Eric recognized the underlying truth without delay. Inquired directly about the status of our marriage and the possibility of divorce. Intelligent child. I indicated that it is likely a yes. Serenity began to cry, which deeply affected me. Eric placed his arm around her. This child, who typically behaves as if his sister is highly volatile, provided her with comfort. I nearly lost my composure upon witnessing that. Mira then began to contact them repeatedly via phone. Eric vocalized his messages. As per the assessment of the individual recognized as Mother of the Year, I was experiencing a significant stress breakdown following the passing of my grandmother, had allegedly misappropriated funds from our accounts, and was purportedly fabricating narratives about her. She instructed them to visit Aunt Anna's residence, where she was currently staying, and advised against being alone with me due to my unpredictable nature. The audacity! Eric appeared perplexed, while Serenity was beginning to feel anxious. I took the necessary action available to me. Presented them with some of the evidence. The real estate listing that their mother had developed without informing anyone. The emails regarding apartment inquiries from San Diego. The bank transactions have been completed. Exclude the Marcus-related content. The image of their mother was unnecessary for them. The journey home was marked by silence. Neither child was certain how to respond. To be candid, I did not either. Upon arriving at the house, both individuals proceeded directly to their respective rooms. It is understandable. During the processing period, I assumed the role of an investigator, accessed our cell phone account, and retrieved Mira's call logs from the previous 6 months. Identified numerous calls to a San Diego number that likely belonged to Marcus. Reviewed our Amazon order history and identified a Kindle book acquired by Mira, titled Co-Parenting After a Contentious Divorce, purchased 3 months prior. The challenges continued to arise. I accessed our infrequently utilized family iPad and discovered that she had not signed out of her Gmail account. A substantial number of emails remain unread. The most critical feedback came from her closest friend, Lauren, with the subject line, Russell's mother's funeral survival strategy. The email focused on strategies for navigating the day while maintaining a polished demeanor until the exit plan was finalized. A group of individuals was discussing the appropriate conduct for Mira during my mother's funeral. At approximately 8 p.m., the doorbell sounded. Cannon stood there with his characteristic self-satisfied expression. A police officer stood behind him. They alleged that I had unlawfully evicted Mira from her residence and was retaining her essential medical items. This is entirely unfounded. She does not take any regular medication. Fortunately, I had foreseen a situation of this nature. Presented the officer with the deed to the property, which is solely in my name. Mira was never added after I inherited it from my parents. Additionally, the documentation pertaining to financial fraud. I indicated that my attorney had submitted emergency orders earlier that morning. The officer promptly recognized that he was being utilized in a domestic dispute and informed Cannon that this issue fell under civil jurisdiction. As they were departing, Cannon attempted to maneuver past me into the residence. I obstructed the entrance, and he had the audacity to issue a threat. His sister mentioned that she possesses information about you that could lead to lasting resentment from your children. I chuckled and suggested he return to assisting his sister in her endeavors with widowers. The officer, remaining on the walkway, turned around in response to that. Cannon, please refrain from speaking for a moment. This morning, I personally took the children to school and subsequently visited the bank once more. Mira has opened 3 new accounts that I was previously unaware of. As we were still legally married and residing in a community property state, the bank manager, albeit with some hesitation, permitted me to review the account activity. Approximately $300,000 has been transferred in the last 2 months, representing nearly the entirety of my inheritance. The positive development: she had not yet been able to transfer it out of the bank. She had only moved it to her private accounts. I presented the manager with the court filing from Joan, and they have frozen those accounts pending the emergency hearing set for tomorrow. I felt a sense of satisfaction until I reviewed my Facebook feed during lunch. In just 24 hours, Mira managed to reach out to nearly everyone in our network with her account of the situation. Based on the messages from mutual friends expressing concern, it appears that I experienced a significant emotional crisis following my mother's passing, which led to financial misconduct and allegations regarding the custody of the children. A number of our acquaintances had already aligned with her perspective, the same individuals who had expressed joy and captured moments at our vow renewal just 2 days prior. However, this is where Mira made an error in judgment. She assumed that others would readily accept her perspective due to her long-standing role as the more sociable partner in our relationship. She was unprepared for my sister Anna, who meticulously keeps records of everything. Anna had observed Mira's behavior during their mother's illness with a sense of suspicion and had taken the initiative to document her observations discreetly. She expressed her frustrations in the group chat, sharing screenshots of Mira's apartment search during. I pretended to have a migraine, marking the first instance in our marriage where I declined intimacy and expressed the need to take medication and rest. She appeared displeased, yet expressed her comprehension. As she prepared for bed in the bathroom, I took the opportunity to review our joint accounts on my phone. Cleared out. There are sufficient funds remaining to cover expenses such as bills and groceries. I accessed the safe where I had been storing some of my mother's jewelry that I was not yet ready to confront. Vacant. The watches belonging to my father that I had been reserving for Eric? Eliminated. I waited for her to fall asleep before proceeding downstairs to open my laptop. It appears that my devoted wife had been quite engaged in her activities. I discovered emails pertaining to our house, which was listed last week as coming soon, correspondence with a school district in San Diego, and an email exchange with an individual named Marcus regarding a fresh start that was quite unsettling. I dedicated the night to making calls, initially reaching out to my friend Stephen, who kindly offered me a place to stay for a few hours as I organized my thoughts. Following that, I contacted my sister Anna, who resides a few hours away. At 6 a.m., a locksmith was present at the residence to replace all the locks. I have prepared a bag containing essential documents and irreplaceable items. Upon waking, Mira noticed my absence and promptly began to contact me repeatedly. I chose not to respond. I arrived at the bank promptly at 9 a.m. to discuss the situation. I subsequently contacted a lawyer named Joan, who informed me that she would be available for a meeting at 11. I returned to the house around 10, aware that Mira would be attending her yoga class. I collected additional belongings, including the child's important documents, and left a note affixed to her vanity mirror that simply stated, "I heard everything at the restaurant, lawyer up," before departing. I proceeded directly to Joan's office to present all the information clearly. She was typing notes at an impressive speed, making it challenging for me to keep pace. She assisted me in submitting emergency motions to secure the remaining assets and halt the sale of the house. I was seated in my vehicle in Joan's parking lot when I received Mira's initial urgent voicemail. Upon returning home, she discovered that the locks had been changed and came across my note. The voicemail consisted of her expressing frustration regarding my actions, asserting that I was overreacting, and indicating that she had explanations for everything. I terminated communication with her and returned to the residence. I had to be present when Eric and Serenity returned from school. They were entitled to receive the information directly from me, rather than through their mother's distorted narrative. Upon my arrival in the driveway, I observed her at the front door, visibly distressed, with mascara running down her face, expressing her emotions quite vocally. She had not yet observed my presence. I remained in my vehicle for a moment, observing an unfamiliar individual who intended to seize everything from my children, my home, and the legacy my parents dedicated their lives to establishing for their grandchildren. As I write this, she remains outside, currently seated on the porch making emotional phone calls, likely to Cannon or possibly to Marcus. The neighbors are certainly witnessing an eventful display. I am receiving numerous messages from friends inquiring about the current situation. Eric contacted me approximately 20 minutes ago, inquiring about the reason behind Mom's urgent messages regarding my emotional state. The manipulation process has commenced. This evening, I will be collecting the children from their after-school activities prior to her arrival. I will present everything clearly. The funds, the California initiative, everything involved. I am not eager to disrupt their perspective, but I will not allow her to manipulate this narrative. This morning, there was a loud commotion outside my residence. By tonight, she will understand that I am only beginning. Update required. First and foremost, I must express my astonishment, everyone. The response to my last post significantly increased my notifications. I was surprised by the level of concern expressed by so many regarding the challenges I have faced in my life. Some of you expressed skepticism, and frankly, I would prefer if you were correct. Thank you for the recognition and direct messages providing legal guidance. I would like to extend my gratitude to the 3 divorce attorneys who provided me with their contact information. I am currently satisfied with Joan, but thank you for your consideration. Continuing from my previous point, I found myself in that situation. Observing Mira in a state of distress on our front lawn, it resembled a scene from a reality show. The neighbor across the street, Mrs. Peterson, who has consistently expressed her opinions on our parenting since Eric was in diapers, was seen watering plants that were already adequately hydrated. Excellent. I exited the vehicle, and Mira noticed my presence. The screaming ceased instantly. Her expression shifted remarkably from intense emotion to a sense of relief. She approached me with her arms extended as if we were in a dramatic reunion at an airport. I gracefully avoided her attempt at a hug, causing her to lose her balance in the expensive sandals she consistently chooses to purchase. That marked the commencement of the gaslighting Olympics. Mira has indicated that I misinterpreted her discussion with Cannon. The funds were merely reallocating our financial resources for tax optimization. In May, California was considered for a potential family vacation that she intended to surprise me with. The property was not being sold, it was merely undergoing an appraisal for refinancing purposes. She looked me directly in the eyes while presenting this information. After 2 decades of partnership, I have come to recognize the remarkable deceitfulness of my spouse. I informed her that I had reviewed all the emails, including those involving Marcus. Her expression shifted from a feigned concern to a pallor so pronounced that I was concerned she might lose consciousness. Subsequently, the tears followed. Not the impulsive ones from before, but the strategic ones she employs when she desires a specific outcome. She began to express her feelings of loneliness during the time I was attending to my mother's needs. She made an error with Marcus, but it held no significance. A single error that seemingly necessitated extensive planning over several months and the misappropriation of my deceased parents' funds. Understood. I informed her that she had 30 minutes to gather any necessary items from the house under my supervision, after which she would need to depart. She altered her approach once more, suggesting that I was intimidating her and not behaving in my usual manner. I responded with a laugh, acknowledging her correctness. The previous version of Russell would have accepted her falsehoods and attempted to mend a marriage that she had already destroyed. Upon entering, she proceeded directly to the bedroom closet where our documents are securely stored. Unfortunately, I had already emptied it. The expression on her face upon realizing that I had accomplished it before her nearly justifies the cost of entry to this unsettling experience. During our 20th anniversary dinner, I stepped away to use the restroom and happened to overhear my wife speaking with her brother on the phone. I have successfully transferred the majority of his inheritance to accounts that are inaccessible to him. After the house is sold next month, I will be initiating the divorce process and relocating with the children to California. We had recently reaffirmed our commitment to one another that morning. I approached the table, requested champagne, and remained silent. This morning, she was vocally expressing her distress outside my residence. I am currently composing this message from my bedroom, with the blinds drawn, while my soon-to-be ex-partner is expressing their frustration on my front lawn. I am feeling quite anxious, but I must express my thoughts before I reach a breaking point. Please be patient with me. This will be an extensive discussion. Yesterday marked our 20th anniversary. 20 years with this woman. We conducted a vow renewal in an intimate ceremony at her parents' backyard that morning. Simple gathering with family and a select group of friends. Mira appeared elegant in a simple white dress, distinct from her original wedding gown. She expressed her concerns last month regarding the fit. Our children, Eric, 16, and Serenity, 13, stood beside us appearing quite disinterested, yet we appreciated their presence. I found myself emotionally moved while reciting those vows, reflecting on our journey together through both challenges and triumphs. I was unaware, wasn't I? The day commenced in a typical manner, as I awoke to Mira presenting me with coffee in bed. This should have served as my initial indication that something was amiss, given that she rarely engages in such gestures. Following the ceremony, we had lunch with the in-laws, and then we enjoyed a few hours of leisure before our dinner reservation at Carmelo's, a high-end Italian restaurant downtown that she has been eager to experience. During those free hours, I observed that Mira was more engaged with her phone than usual. Upon inquiring about her texting activity, she promptly responded that she was merely finalizing some details for an anniversary surprise, accompanied by a peculiar smile that failed to convey genuine emotion. I assumed she might be organizing something special for after dinner and decided to overlook it. For context, my mother passed away 3 months ago, following a prolonged struggle with cancer. My father passed away last year. As the sole child, I received the entirety of the inheritance. Their residence, financial assets, father's vinyl collection, mother's jewelry, the entire arrangement. While it may not equate to millionaire status, it is certainly sufficient to positively impact our lives. We have been discussing the possibility of allocating some of the funds for the children's college expenses and potentially addressing the long-awaited kitchen renovation. The dinner commenced smoothly. Mira demonstrated exceptional attentiveness, engaging with me through light touches on my arm and responding positively to my humor. The waiter presented us with complimentary prosecco to celebrate our anniversary. I recall reflecting on my fortunate circumstances, despite the challenges I faced following my mother's passing. Mira had not demonstrated the highest level of support during our mother's final weeks, frequently citing reasons to avoid accompanying me to the hospice. I attributed her behavior to her discomfort with illness. Approximately midway through the main course, I took the opportunity to excuse myself to visit the restroom. The men's restroom is located at the end of the narrow hallway, beyond the kitchen. While I was walking back, I observed that Mira had entered the same hallway, engaged in a phone conversation. She was unaware of my presence as she was oriented in the opposite direction, engaged in a hushed conversation typical of those who wish to maintain confidentiality. As I prepared to call out to her, I heard her mention my name, prompting me to instinctively step back around the corner. I understand. While eavesdropping is generally frowned upon, there was an unsettling quality in her tone that caused a reaction in me. Russell appears to be unaware, as she indicated. I have successfully transferred the majority of his inheritance to accounts that are inaccessible to him. After the house is sold next month, I will be proceeding with the divorce and relocating with the children to California. I genuinely believed I was experiencing a serious medical issue, as my vision became momentarily blurred. Indeed, Canon, I understand that this has been the intended course of action, but it is now coming to fruition, she continued. He has been so consumed by his grief regarding his mother that he has failed to observe his surroundings. The real estate agent indicated that we can expect to receive multiple offers by next week. Are you a real estate agent? Our property had not been listed for sale. After a brief pause, she stated that the children would adapt. While Eric may present some challenges initially, I have been promoting the California school, and you are aware of the strong bond between Serenity and myself. Additionally, their interactions with Russell are infrequent, as he is consistently occupied with work or attending to his mother's needs. Providing care for my terminally ill mother. I apologize for any inconvenience caused, Mira. There is no need to be concerned about the timing, she continued. The vow renewal this morning was truly exceptional. This will further highlight his lack of awareness when the details are revealed. Furthermore, it is unlikely that any judge would accept that he was unaware of the house sale, especially considering our recent recommitment to one another. Please take a moment to reflect on that. My wife renewed our vows as a legal strategy. I must have produced a sound, as she abruptly turned around. I retreated into the bathroom hallway, my heart racing intensely, to the point where I could sense my pulse in my eyes. I noticed the sound of her heels approaching our table. I waited for approximately 2 minutes, splashed cold water on my face, and successfully composed myself to walk back as if nothing had occurred. She offered a smile and inquired if I would like to share the tiramisu. I am uncertain how I managed to navigate the remainder of that dinner. I decided to order a bottle of champagne as I was uncertain of an alternative course of action. My cognitive processing was temporarily delayed. I continued to observe her facial expressions. This face I have woken up next to for 20 years has left me contemplating the true identity of this individual. She frequently glanced at her phone discreetly beneath the table, likely communicating with her brother regarding the negative impact she was having on my life, all while I covered the cost of her expensive pasta. During the drive home, she made several attempts to reach for my hand across the console. I allowed her to proceed because I was uncertain of any other appropriate course of action. I required some time for reflection. I was overwhelmed with inquiries. What was the duration of her planning for this? What was the total amount of money she had already taken? Where was she locating a residence in California? Had she experienced discontent throughout this period? Upon our return home, she was quite affectionate, attempting to initiate a celebration of our anniversary in an intimate manner.